But we are going to talk about Patreon and its enormous new round. Natasha, can you tell us just like the broad strokes here, and then I want to dig into the trends behind it.
Yes, so Patreon is our newest unicorn. It raised 90 million and is valued at 1.2 billion. And it last raised a year ago at 60 million at a 600 million valuation. So it's a really healthy bump in terms of valuation.
Yeah, I was impressed by the effective double in the single year. The disappointment, though, that I got while reading the coverage of it was that they didn't really share a lot of growth metrics. But we do know now that there are 200,000 creators on the platform, which are the kind of people that you pay money to, and, quote, more than 6 million fans. Now, this is the barest of minimal growth metrics that you can provide for a round of this size. So I want to say to everyone at Patreon who decided to not share, boo, I say to you, sir and ma'am, boo, and boo again. Because this is crap. We can't really do a lot of work here. We can begin to estimate GMV by multiplying 6 million times some, per monthly amount, and you can kind of tinker with that up and down. But I think the trend here that we're seeing is that because the music industry fell apart and so many other kind of creative show up in person things slowed, we're seeing a lot more people effectively try to transition from the physical world into the online world. Bands like Trivium are experimenting a lot with streaming and on-demand concerts, and comedians are doing kind of specials via these new platforms. And I'm pretty encouraged by it. I wonder how much we can replace of the old world with kind of the nuevo Patreon.
I love that Patreon has shifted from being just a marketplace to kind of this suite of tools. I've talked about Issa Rae on this podcast before. I hope you guys have done your research since I last mentioned her. But she uses Patreon in a way that I find super inspiring. And I'm not just fangirling here. I think it's a really cool use case. And we've talked about the creative economy a couple episodes ago, but she kind of has created this ecosystem for creators to maybe all come in because they like Issa Rae, but then network, do offshoots. And it's a really cheap membership, I think $5 a month, just to get access to this this community of Black creators. And so to me, I feel like Patreon having that kind of strategy will probably beat companies that are new to it because it already has a really solid built-in creator network to the small metric point we got. And so that is like the future of Patreon in my eyes, creating these small communities where people can just kind of go crazy underneath the similarity of maybe one major creator.
Yeah, and we're seeing this in the 1,000 true fans idea. I've seen it described as the 100 true fans idea. In this case, Issa Rae has just under 2,000 Patreons at $5 a month. So she's doing about 10K a month, about 120,000 a year.
And she doesn't need the money,
grows.
and it's amazing. And I'm like, yeah, you are awesome for not needing the money and just kind of using that as a place for other people.
Yeah, well, I think the idea that we're going to disintermediate the space between artists of varying stripes and creators of varying stripes and people who appreciate them is something that we're seeing across the world. I mean, Substack is an example of this. It strips down the publisher gap between an author and the reader and makes it incredibly personal, more intimate, not in a weird way, but in a very comfortable way. And I think Patreon's the same thing. And, other things like Twitch, and I'll throw OnlyFans in there because everyone talks about it these days, seem to be doing the same thing across different content varietals, you might say. And so if Patreon has caught this kind of lift, I'm not surprised to see the valuation gain. As a final point here, curious to see how its economics are. I think to me, it's probably seen some great growth, but I'm not exactly over here thinking that it's all of a sudden burst towards profitability. And so I would put Patreon in kind of the traditional unicorn model, lots of capital, big valuation, good growth, probably losing tons of money. And with that, can we talk about some IPOs, please?